Hi gang, Scott Davenport here. So this I'm going to call a then and now edit, and I'm honestly embarrassed about the photo I'm about to share here. I wrestled with whether or not to make this video, but I thought it would be worthwhile because it does really show how far we can grow in our photography. So I've been going through older photos, keeping busy while we're under our shelter in place type of stuff with COVID-19. And I found these photos from one of my early visits. This is back in 2013, so 7 years ago, really early in my photographic journey. And I got this set of 5 shots here, full on squarely in the HDR camp. And let's just make some real estate here so we can see what's going on. So bracketed these shots here, trying to capture a sunset. And when I look at the photos themselves, look at the frame, there's some good bones here at the very least. Let's just look at when we can kind of see things. Maybe this one here is there's a composition, right? Okay, we've got a line. This is curving in. There's something here to occupy there. This is leading to the sun. So there's some beginnings of a good photo here. It's not a good photo. It's not a good photo, but there's some beginnings, and then I bracketed the whole thing. So that was another thing I was looking back where I bracketed tons of stuff. And as I'll show you, I don't even think it was necessary for this scene. This was when I was shooting with a Nikon camera, which had an older sensor. Even at the time, it wasn't a cutting edge Nikon body, which I think is a Sony sensor in it. But 7+ years ago, probably the sensor was 10 years ago. I just didn't need it. So I ended up merging these into an HDR and made this monstrosity. And I'm not even going to show it full screen. It's this bit. It's just horrible. It's horrible. Horrible is a kind word for this photo. It's grainy. It's crunchy. The blues are unbelievably bad in the water. Everything about this is just wrong, processing wise. Huge mistakes everywhere. This was it was a point of growth, let's put it that way. So then I decided, okay, let me take one of the exposures and process it as I would today, based on my current knowledge. Improvement in the tools have gotten better. And so here is that photo. Now it's still not a good photo. It's all right. It's, if I were shooting it today, I would be doing a little more with the filter, trying to drag a little bit of things. The HDR got all in the way of that. But the processing of it is a lot more calm. It's a lot tamer. It is just not as garish as the previous photo. And what's interesting, if I open up this panel here, checking out the histogram, this is a single frame. And yeah, there's no detail here where the sun is in the sky, but it's also not blown out. There is actually space at the end of that histogram. So in retrospect, I didn't even need to do HDR 7+ years ago to have all the tones in range. Now maybe some of that is improvement in the tools. Maybe the newer version, Lightroom, what I'm using here, on one Luminar, they've all advanced and raw processing has gotten much better. So maybe I didn't need to bracket, or maybe I did need to bracket back in the day, but here I didn't need to. I just found this. Maybe I'll put these two side by side. What I did in the past versus what I did now. Certainly, I would take the shot differently. I would photograph this scene differently than I did 7 years ago. I definitely would not process it the same way. It's just not. It's night and day. So I found it to be an interesting view of, at least for myself, how far I've come along, how I've changed. I think my tastes have gotten more refined with the processing. It also is illuminating that there was still the core of a decent photograph. The compositional rules were starting to take place, and just some natural flow in the scene itself. So hopefully this will give you some ideas. Go back and look at your older work and see how it compares to now. You can look at it from the point of view of just compositionally. How did it feel for you? Does the photo look like the beginnings of where your journey is taking you now? Processing can certainly be very different. This is one of the topics I talked about on one of my podcast episodes too. I'll put a link to that below the video if you want to listen to a little more about how to grow as an artist and leverage your metadata. Go back and look at things in the past. So I thought I'd share that today. Hope you found it interesting. If you got questions or comments or your own stories around your photo improvements over the years, drop them below. And until next time, my name's Scott Davenport. Have fun.